The Bengals continue to make moves on this defense. First thing I want to talk about here is Denard being let go in free agency. I mean, we already kind of seen that coming and everything, but it's interesting to bring up because of, the position he did play. I like Denard. I thought he played really well. Obviously, the knee scope being 28 years old was probably a little bit of a concern here for the Bengals. When you put the money into weigh-ins that the Bengals did, and then you consider they're going to be paying Jackson down the road, you don't want to risk that third CB being under contract for, 2, 3, 4 years and then having some sort of knee issues down the road. But man, I'll be honest, of all the guys the Bengals have been letting go, the Denard one has probably been the toughest one for me to swallow so far here. But it is what it is. Either he didn't want to stay here, or the Bengals didn't want to pay him. Whatever the scenario was, it doesn't matter. The Bengals were quick to go out there and say, you know what, let's replace him, and let's replace him with none other than Mackensie Alexander, a 26-year-old, a guy who is a few years younger, and who I think will be a very big addition to this team. Alexander will likely be that guy, fit right back in that slot role that Denard was filling. The man's played solid. He's been, even more importantly, an excellent tackler, something I think this Bengals defense really needs here. And now, granted, he didn't see the action that the other two outside CBs did in Minnesota, those outside CBs being Xavier Rhodes and Trae Waynes, but from a pro football focus standpoint, he graded in at 78.1 in 2018 and 65.7 in 2019, which is better than both of his respective corners. So he did pretty well in that department there. And I think what's more important here is this guy signed a one-year deal. It's not just, a wait-and-see thing for the Bengals, but it's a let me bet on myself thing for a guy like Alexander, who can now go out there and say, here's what I got, 1 year. I'm going to be the, best version of myself on the field that I can be, so I can get that big, hefty contract the year after. So I think this is going to be a big year for him. There he could be a difference maker for this defense. But with the addition of Alexander and Trae Waynes, who we touched on in a previous video as well, that meant someone was getting cut. And let me tell you what, there was some rumors, whether it was rumblings, whether it was just speculations of it possibly being William Jackson. I tell you what, I would have probably lost it if it was William Jackson. He had one bad year, okay? But to me, this guy's still young. He's promising. His first 2 seasons with the team were very good, I think. And that's the key with, the Bengals here, I think, is it was a rough season defensively. Sure, there's going to be a case to make for almost everybody having a bad season, or they have to be cut or traded or whatever. But the goal for the Bengals here is to be able to sift through all those players and say, hey, this guy's actually, a lot better than what he played last season. This guy's better than what he played last season. This guy's got potential to continue to grow, and, so on and so forth there. And I think when the Bengals, all said and done, made that decision going through this, the decisions they had to make when it came to Kirkpatrick, Reed Jackson, if that's the game you really wanted to ever play, I think Kirkpatrick being the guy let go here was the proper answer. Now, Kirkpatrick's had a lot of bright spots, but for me, over these past couple seasons, while he's been out on the field, it just, I don't want to over-exaggerate it and make it sound like it was worse than it was, but it always felt like when he was out on the field in big crunch time situations, whether that be a big 3rd and 9, you got to stop him to get the ball back, or it's a tie game and he just missed his tackle and gave up a 70-yard touchdown, whatever it is, it felt like in those big moments he struggled. It felt like he was, the guy that the other team would attack when they needed that first down or when they needed that key play. And for me, that was a problem. You could almost call him a textbook Bengal, because he played great until it was a big moment in a game or a key play in a game. And at $10 million a year with other options now, you can't have that, I don't think. Not at age 30 at least. And especially not when you consider he was likely to be the 3rd CB on this team. And again, I can't stress enough. What he did here was great. He was a guy that was very solid in coverage for the Bengals over the years. He could very well plug into some other defense and vastly improve that team next season. Could happen, but I think this is one of those cases for the Bengals where you look back and, it's one of those things in sports in general where things weren't working last year, clearly. And you needed to change things up a little bit just to try to spark something to see if you can get something going. And this is one of those cases here where I think it was something that had to be done, and it was the right decision by letting Dre Kirkpatrick go.